Hello again. This is my second video of this day, and I'm going to touch a subject which is dangerous in this society right now in 2023, summer, end of July. I don't usually date my videos for a couple of reasons. Is that they're going to get old and things can change. This society is very flexible, very dynamic, and these days very divided and opinionated. I want to talk to you about abortion and the principles that I see. You don't have to agree with this in a million years. You can turn it off. You can stab me 1,000 times. You can put in your comments your opinions. And maybe I'm an evil, disabled, idiotic. I love the nincompoop. I love that word. I don't know why, because the rest of you never heard it. But here's kind of what I've seen, and here's kind of where my head is. My head may be on a platter like John the Baptist one of these days for my opinion and my experience. I had a situation years ago. I have a son named Stephen, and Stephen has been, as most of my children, a little different, if you know what I mean. Stephen called me. He was in another state. I don't remember if I was in California or Utah. But Stephen called me and said, out of the clear blue sky, and I certainly had my panties down around my ankles, falling down the staircase when he called, and said, "Dad, I have a situation that's come up." Now, when my children call and say, "Dad, we need to chat," or "Dad, I have a situation," they're usually looking at jail, and they're usually in some kind of godforsaken problems. So I sat down and I said, "Okay, Steve, what's going on?" And he said, "I have somebody here that wants to talk to you." Well, I'm used to that being a judge or a sheriff or a constable, or it's never been my luck to have a kidnapper or a ransom. If someone kidnaps or holds my children for ransom, I never pay, because once they get to know the child, they're going to return it to me, and now I'm responsible again for the bullshit that my kids get into. So anyway, I said, okay, I'm sitting down. Who am I going to talk to this time? If it's not the high school principal, if it's not the counselor, if it's not a psychiatrist or a social worker, I'm in heaven. It's got to be somebody else. So sure enough, he puts this sweet female voice on the line. And I said, "Well, is he kidnapping you? Has he put you in the trunk of a car? Are you calling from a mental institution?" And she said, "No, I'm an Indian." "Okay, you're an Indian, okay. I don't know if that's a step up or a step down for a father, but one of my daughters came to me with an illegal immigrant and said, 'I want to marry this illegal immigrant.' I go, well, more good news from my family." So she said, "I'm an Indian." Nowadays, we call that a Native American, and maybe with some reasonableness, because Indians have been used as maybe a derogatory or a prejudicial name. I say, okay, Miss Indian, why do you want to talk to me? She said, well, something has come up. I said, I'm not surprised. It's Stephen this time. It could have been 14 others, but this time, or 13 others, this time it's Stephen. And she said, well, I'm pregnant. And I go, well, how is that? Not the physical part, because I've never been a female. I don't know what it feels like or is like to be pregnant. She said, well, a situation has come up. I said, okay, what is the situation, Miss Indian, Miss Native American, and Miss Female that is involved with Stephen? How does this affect Stephen, and how did this fall into my lap? Why are you calling? She said, well, between the lines, I'm going to put out, your son can't support me. Your son is an idiot. Your son is reckless. Your son is irresponsible. And it's his sperm that made me start to develop a human container inside my human container. Okay. How does that affect me? Is this a grandchild? Is this a situation where you and Stephen are going to get married and I have a new grandchild? And she goes, no, not exactly. And I go, I thought that was probably going to be your answer. She said, I'm thinking of getting an abortion. Now, I was young, you know, these are years ago, where some of the decisions I had in my life were extremely important. Now, this was a human being, body, container that was being prepared for another being. She said, I'm thinking of getting an abortion. And in those days, that was a surprising word to me. I had never been involved with any abortions or decisions concerning abortion. And in fact, I didn't even have a damn opinion. In those days, I was so young, I hadn't even developed an opinion about abortion. And she said, well, I want your permission. I said, my permission for what? And she says, I want you to basically, in between the lines, she's saying, I think I need to get an abortion because your son is so irresponsible, erratic, uneducated. He was one of the ones that dropped out of high school. I have to be honest. He went eventually and got a GED. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I said, what you're asking me is for my permission and my blessing and granting you, Miss Little Indian, Native American, to get an abortion. You are going to tear out, destroy the container that would have contained one of my grandchildren. She said, yes. I said, well, I'm young, I'm not well educated yet, and I am now faced with the decision of the potential of destroying the container of one of my grandchildren and, in your opinion, perhaps a human life. I said no. I said no. I'm not going to give you my blessing. I'm not going to give you permission. I'm not going to endorse, and I'm not going to provide you with my opinion that you're so young and, you know, you opened your vagina to my stupid son. I'm not going to get involved in this. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you do not have my permission. Now, does that mean you can't go with an abortion? Not in a million years. It's your body. It's your vagina. It's your egg. It happens to be my son's sperm, which I'm not going to go further. You are a separate human being container. You have every right in the world to decide. Do you want to carry that baby to term? That's a fancy way of saying, well, are you going to continue to have the baby? I never heard from my little Indian proposed not stepdaughter, God, I can't even think clearly on this one. You're not going to be my future daughter-in-law, and you having my grandchild. So I never got involved anymore. I basically said no. That was my decision at that time, with my education, my experience, my knowledge, my maturity, etc. Well, never a long story short. It's always a long story long with the bard and the cockroach. I never heard from her again, but I think I heard from my son the rumor that she had a miscarriage. The container fell out of her body, and she never became my daughter-in-law, and I never had, to my knowledge, a grandchild by Miss Native American. Now, I'm old. I'm more experienced. I'm not bright. I'm not, above you and me. We're all in the same goddamn boat called the Titanic. In the Titanic, do I grab a life preserver and jump over in the ocean and let the sharks eat me? Do I dress up as a woman, pretend I'm a female, and they were putting females and children in the lifeboats first? Is that the kind of human being I am? Or do I just stand by the band that was playing while the boat was going down and drowned? I have a couple of choices, I guess, as a creature inside a human container. So, here's where I've come to at this point in my life. I've had a lot of life experiences. If they help you, great. Make a donation. Go, I like the bard, I like the cockroach, what he says. I think a lot about us being like in a car. A car is a container. When we get in the car, we're part of the container. We have the key. We can start the car. We can drive. We can go fast. We can go slow. We can stop. Those are all the things that we can do in our containers. Is the car, the container, us? I've come to the conclusion, no. We're just inside the car. We can start it, we can use it, we can do good things with it, we can do bad things with it, we can run over other human containers and destroy them. And we can wash our car, we can wash our container, we can decorate it, we can put sayings on it. I hate this person, I hate that person, I'm better than other people. My container is, in some cases, very beautiful. Some women are born in containers that are extremely attractive and extremely luring and extremely sexual. We men containers, when we look at these beautiful women containers, we go, man, that's for me. We'll say, I want to marry it. It may be a Cadillac, it may be a Lexus, it may be a Mercedes, and we as men can't afford that container. we have to get a Yugo. We have to get a even an Uber, which I guess is a sex worker woman container. They're out of our league, and they don't want to have anything to do with us because we can't afford $4,000 or $5,000 a month payment and the insurance and the maintenance and the labor to keep that woman, female container, up and current and looking good. So here's kind of my opinion and where my head is at. Is a zygote, a fetus, wherever the developmental stage is, conception? Now I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me. That's great. I don't care. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to convert anybody to think the way the bard and the cockroach thinks. That's I don't have a hidden agenda. I don't even have an agenda. I'm thinking, is sperm that comes out of the male sacred and secret and from God and part of the eternal plan of creating human containers? Well, at this point in our evolution and development, we're saying, no, sperm is sperm. And if you don't masturbate it out, it's going to come out anyway in what humans now call a wet dream, nocturnal emission. That's a little fancier word for sperm coming out of a male container. No, it's not a creature or a container yet. Is it a potential part of making a container? Yeah, it is. It's part of the factory. The Mormon Church, Boyd K. Packer called it the little factory. I don't know. Mormons come up with more shit. Goddamn. Oh, I'm in a monkey world. Anyway, is the egg. Now, all the little girls that are born have ovaries when they're born. And they have a certain amount of eggs in their ovaries, and they don't make new eggs. A male makes new sperm every 10 or 12 hours, millions and millions of little sperm that are looking for an egg. So, the little girls, the females, they have eggs, and they don't make any more. They're born with all the eggs they'll ever have. And around 11, 12 years old, maybe younger, maybe older, the ovary goes, I'm going to let an egg go. I'm going down the fallopian tube, and I'm going to drop down into the uterus. Well, a female, their uterus at that age now is ready, is prepared to take that egg, if it's fertilized with sperm, and lodge it. Now it's a fertilized egg. Is it a human being? My knowledge and experience, and I could change. I've learned to change with information and new facts and evidence. I don't think it's a human being. I think it's a zygote. I think it's a fertilized egg. The sperm, millions of them, have climbed into the fallopian tube and going, I'm looking for an egg. Are you an egg? Me and you, we're hooking up. Now we're a fertilized egg. Should we, as a culture and as a created creature, say, we need to protect that egg? You decide. It's inside this little girl's body, and it is now starting to it's starting to divide. It's going from, and it divides geometrically. It doesn't just add one cell, it has millions and millions as it starts to grow as a container for a human to inhabit. That's inside a female body. Now, when males ejaculate or masturbate or nocturnal emissions, is that a sacred, a God-given process? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just millions of sperm going, we're looking for a fallopian tube, and are you an egg? And if you are, you're going to reject all of us except one. One sperm is going to get lucky, if you want to say that. It's getting lucky. And it gets to go inside the egg, and the egg says, come on in, come on in. The rest of them are assholes. I don't want any of the rest of them. I'm choosing you. And the sperm goes, thank you, I'm coming in. So now we're in the process of her little body holding a container, probability, possibility. Well, the little egg goes down the fallopian tube, hopefully. It's not a pregnancy that ends up in the fallopian tube. That's dangerous. And anyway, a long story long, the little egg goes down into the female's uterus, and the uterus said, we have a home for you. We have a temporary condo that we've set up, a little house, and we're going to let you come into our house, and we're going to accommodate you. You're going to live here. We're going to give you your food, your shelter. We're going to put you in what we call a bag of water. I'm coming out of the scientific world. You're going to be housed in our condo home uterus. And the egg goes, great, I needed a place to live and to develop, and if you didn't pick me up, I'm going out on the next period, and I don't want to do that. I'm now a fertilized egg. Are the eggs that are not fertilized, that the gender, female gender, puts out in her period, they're kind of like the sperm. They're not fertilized. Man, they could have been part of the development of a container, but every female that has her period, every 28 days for 5 days, the uterus goes, no one showed up. We're a hotel here, but no one signed up and came in. So the hotel goes, screw it. We're just gonna bleed out. And the little girl has her period, and the egg that was possibly able to be fertilized goes, I have nowhere to live, I'm gone, I'm out. I'm now in a I'm in a tampon, I'm in a Kotex, and I'm going to get thrown in the trash. Now, all that being aside, scientific, unscientific, stupid, the bard and the cockroach doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Or he's a genius, I don't know. Now, if that little egg is fertilized and is growing into a zygote, into a baby, is that a human being? Some of you are going to say yes, especially you right wing, way out in the third standard deviation. That's a baby. That we need to protect. That is under constitutional law. Okay, you can have that opinion, you can have that belief system. Nothing wrong with that in a million years. The Bard is saying it's a container being developed for a human being. Now, here's where my head goes back to the Bible. The creation of Adam and Eve. That's the only reference that I have of what is a human being. God, according to the Bible, created Adam out of clay, dirt, chemicals, scientific ways of creating a container. God created that container, Adam out of clay, and Adam, I think, was just laying on the ground because there was no life to Adam. It was God's way of making a container to put Adam into. Again, the Bible says that God created Adam out of clay, and the container was created. There wasn't any life in the container. Is there life in a fertilized egg? You decide. You decide. I've decided, from where I'm coming from, that I believe God created a container, but there was no life in it. So I don't think there's life in a fertilized egg. That's just my opinion. Now, how did Adam get to be in and alive in the container? The Bible says that God breathed the breath of life into Adam. And Adam became a living soul. I'm going to kind of fly with that right now. Does the little zygote baby in the egg come out of the body of a female as a human being? I'm coming from a place now of saying no. Until it takes its first breath, the breath of life, a creature is not in that container. Okay, they're going to beat my door down. They're going to shoot me. They're going to put up signs that say the Bard is killing human beings. Okay. This is important shit. It is important. When a baby is born, is it a human being? I'm going to go with the Bible. I'm going to go with Christianity. I'm not going to go with the right wing and all the abortionist people and say you're killing a baby. Well, you're destroying, in an abortion, a human container. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to agree with that 100%. I'm going to separate from you that the little girl, the female, may not want that container to fruition. She doesn't want to give birth to a human container. Does she have that right? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's her body. I'm going to say it is in her body, and her body is going to get fat. It's going to stop having periods. It's in the process of creating a human container. Do I have the right to say, you must create that human container? No, I don't. I'm a male. I don't know what it's like to be pregnant. I'm not going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to have my body stop having periods and a big container start to show and grow in my body. Does she have the right? Does she have the power to take that creature, zygote, fertilized egg, growing container, and say, I don't want it in my body. Just a doctor or a miscarriage say, I don't want it, take it out. I think she has that right. I think she has that power. It's her little body. If she doesn't want to grow a baby in there, who am I? Who am I, a male in the Christian culture in 2023 in America? Who am I to say, no, you don't have that right? You opened your legs up and you created a baby. I don't think she did. I think she started to have a container. She let the sperm come up into her fallopian tubes and find her little egg that said, come on in, we're hooking up. Well, this culture now, the Supreme Court has said basically she doesn't have that right to terminate that pregnancy. Some states have saying, we agree. She opened her legs up, she's pregnant, she's having that baby. That's her punishment. That's her destiny. Now she's a mom. Now she has to take care of that baby. Even though she didn't want to have a baby, even though she didn't, all she had was sex. She let a penis in her vagina. The penis goes, hey, sperm everywhere. I'm going to say that it's not a creature, a human creature, until, as God did, it takes its first breath. When that happens, now it's a human. Now it's protected by the Constitution. Now she's a mother. Now she has responsibilities that she's not going to be able to walk away from. Why do I believe that? Well, here's kind of where my head is. If a construction crew is building a container called a house, is it a house? Nah, in my opinion. It's the beginning of a house, and if they continue to work, yeah, it's going to be a container made for human beings. Now, is the container a house? Yes, it is. Is it a home until people move in? I don't think so. I think it's a house, it's a container, but until people move in, it's only a house. It's not a home. It's a container that has the perspective and the possibility of becoming a home to a family or to people. Until somebody moves in, is it basically a container, a human being? I don't think so. I don't think until the breath of life is part of that experience that it is a human being. Now, I have a lot of people now who hate me. I have a lot of people who are never going to put a penny in my PayPal. I have a lot of people who go, the Bart, the cockroach, he's an evil person. He's an evil creature. He doesn't believe the way I believe. I'm never giving him a penny. I hope he dies. I have to be the cockroach. I have to be the Bard. I have to be the person that I am. I'm not political. I'm not anti-Christian. Am I a Christian? I hope that I am. Do I believe in Christ and the principles of Christ? Yes, I do. Am I trying to live those principles? Yeah, I am. You have every right to be who you are. But I have every right to be who I am. If you don't like me now, you hate me, you wish I was dead, you think I'm evil, because I think a woman, a child, a creature that is human, who has the ability to reproduce, has the right to say, I'm not ready. I always only had sex. I had no intention of creating a container for a human being. I don't want yet to do this. My body is prepared, my body is able to create a creature. I don't want to. I'm a creature that had the potential, and all I did was have sex. And I don't think I should have to be punished that I now have to have baby created inside of me. That's where I'm at. That's where the cockroach, the father, the bard is. Does she have a right to say, I don't want to do this? I'm going to say, yeah, she has that right. Yeah, she can take that creature, beginning of a container, out of her body. I don't think she has the obligation to continue. That's where I am. That's where I'm at. You're not going to give any money to me as a donation. You're going to say, screw him. He's a bad person. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I'm not a female. And I think a female has the right to say, no, I don't want this in my body. I don't want to continue. Yeah, I want to have sex. Yeah, I maybe got into a situation that I don't want to be in. I have a right to get a situation out of me, a fertilized egg. Okay, I know I'm on your shit list, some of you. I know you're never going to ever look at the bard again. I know you hate the cockroach. That's okay. That's okay. I just have to be honest to myself. That's where I am. If you want to put 50 cents in the donation, PayPal, do it. If you want to take money out of the PayPal and go, I hate this guy, you can't do that, but you can hate me. You can hate me, and you can say, I'm never going to look at the barred cockroach again. There's others of you that I hope would say, well, I'm going to put $1 in his donation PayPal. That's your choice. It's my choice to make this video. I'm done. The video's done.